Can we have your leftovers? The sun was setting over the Martian settlement of New Haven, painting the rust-colored sky in shades of amber and gold. Commander Marcus Reid sat alone outside the mess hall, hunched over a bowl of reconstituted beef stew, one of the few luxuries the colony could afford after 3 years of struggling to establish a foothold on the Red Planet. The meal was precious. Real protein was rare, rationed carefully among the 200 souls who called this dusty outpost home. Marcus savored each bite, letting the warmth spread through his chest after a grueling 14-hour shift repairing the atmospheric processors. He'd earned this meal. He'd earned this moment of peace. "Excuse me, sir?" The voice was small, hesitant. Marcus looked up from his bowl, his tired eyes adjusting to the fading light. 4 children stood before him in a ragged line, their heads barely reaching his shoulder. They wore tattered clothing that hung loose on their thin frames, garments that had been patched and repatched until the original fabric was barely recognizable. But it was their eyes that stopped him cold. Bright, luminous blue. Not the blue of Earth's oceans or its cloudless skies, but something deeper, more alien. The color seemed to glow faintly in the dimming light, like bioluminescent creatures from the depths of some forgotten sea. "Can we have your leftovers?" the tallest one asked, a girl who couldn't have been more than 10. Her voice carried a strange accent, musical and lilting, unlike any dialect Marcus had heard in the colony. Marcus felt his grip tighten on the bowl. These weren't his children. He'd seen every kid in New Haven, knew their parents, their stories. These 4 were strangers, and strangers didn't just appear on Mars. The journey from Earth took 9 months, and every arrival was documented, celebrated, announced. "Who are you?" Marcus asked, his voice rougher than he intended. "Where are your parents?" The children exchanged glances, their glowing eyes communicating something he couldn't understand. The tallest girl stepped forward, her bare feet silent on the red dust. "We don't have parents anymore. We're hungry. Please, sir. Just the leftovers. Just what you don't want." Marcus looked down at his bowl. Half full. Maybe 6 or 7 more bites. His stomach growled in protest at the thought of giving it up, but his conscience wrestled with something deeper. These children were clearly malnourished. Their arms were like brittle twigs, their cheeks hollow. "How did you get here?" he pressed. "What sector are you from?" "The old mines." Another child volunteered, a boy with a shock of white hair that seemed to shimmer in the dying light. "We live in the abandoned tunnels." "Please, sir. We haven't eaten in 3 days." The abandoned mines. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine despite the insulated warmth of his thermal suit. The old mining operations had been sealed off 2 years ago after a series of cave-ins. The tunnels were considered too dangerous, too unstable. No one went there anymore. No one human, anyway. "You live in the mines?" Marcus set his bowl down slowly, his hand instinctively moving toward the comm device on his belt. "Those tunnels are condemned. They're not safe for—" "We know they're not safe," the girl interrupted, and for the first time, Marcus heard something hard in her voice, something ancient that didn't belong to a child. "But they're all we have. The settlement doesn't want us. They never did." "What do you mean?" "The colony takes care of all its citizens." "We're not citizens." The 3rd child spoke now, identical to the second with the same white hair and those impossible blue eyes. "Twins. We're not human." "Not entirely." The words hung in the cooling Martian air like ice crystals forming. Marcus felt his heart rate spike, his breathing shallow. He'd heard rumors, of course. Whispers in the corridors late at night. Stories about the early experiments before the strict regulations from Earth Command. Stories about genetic modifications, about children created to survive Mars's harsh conditions without the constant need for life support. Stories about failures. About rejects. The hybrid project, Marcus breathed. You're from the hybrid project. The children said nothing, but their silence was confirmation enough. The fourth child, the smallest, a girl no older than 6, began to cry softly, her luminous tears leaving faint traces of light on her blue-tinged cheeks. Marcus had been on Mars long enough to know the stories. 10 years ago, before he arrived, the colony had experimented with genetic engineering. They tried to create humans who could breathe the thin Martian atmosphere, whose bodies could process the local minerals, whose eyes could see better in the low light. The project had been shut down by Earth Command as unethical, but not before several children had been born. Children who were different. Children who were abandoned when the project ended. They told us you were all, that the project was terminated, Marcus said quietly. It was, the tall girl replied. But we survived. We hide. We scavenge. And we're always hungry. Marcus looked at his bowl again, then at the 4 pairs of glowing blue eyes watching him with a mixture of hope and resignation. He'd been trained for a lot of things: engineering, survival, combat. But not for this. Not for the weight of looking into the eyes of children created by human ambition and abandoned by human fear. He picked up the bowl and held it out to the tall girl. Take it. Take all of it. The children's eyes widened in disbelief. But sir, we only asked for leftovers. I know what you asked for, Marcus interrupted gently. But you need it more than I do. The tall girl took the bowl with trembling hands, and the 4 children huddled together, passing it between them, each taking careful, measured bites as if afraid the food would disappear if they ate too quickly. Marcus watched them, his heart heavy with shame. Shame for a colony that had created life and then pretended it didn't exist. When the bowl was empty, the children looked up at him with something approaching hope. Will you tell anyone? The tall girl asked. About us. Marcus stood slowly, his joints protesting after the long day. He looked toward the settlement, its lights beginning to glow against the darkening sky, then back at the 4 children who shouldn't exist but did. I'm going to do more than that, he said firmly. I'm going to make sure you never have to ask for leftovers again. Come with me. The children hesitated, fear and hope warring in their extraordinary eyes. Trust me, Marcus extended his hand. It's time New Haven remembered what it means to be human. All of us. The tall girl looked at her companions, then slowly reached out and took Marcus's hand. Her skin was cool to the touch, her grip surprisingly strong. As they walked together toward the settlement, Marcus activated his comm device. This is Commander Reid. I need an emergency council meeting. Tonight. We have a situation that can't wait any longer. Behind them, the Martian sun finally set, but ahead, the lights of New Haven burned bright, a reminder that even on this distant, hostile world, humanity's greatest challenge wasn't survival. It was remembering to be humane.